You've been told to toughen up, to be more resilient. But what if that strength comes at the cost of your own emotional well-being? Have you ever felt like you're shouldering the weight of others' expectations, sacrificing your own needs and desires for the sake of being seen as strong? I'm here to tell you that this is not just a personal issue, it's a societal one, and it's time we start talking about the unseen cost of being resilient. In this video, we'll explore why you're afraid to show vulnerability, and how childhood trauma, emotional neglect, and toxic relationships can shape your self-perception and impact your relationships. We'll dive into the subtle ways in which people-pleasing, overthinking, and self-sabotage can become coping mechanisms that ultimately hold us back from living authentic lives. You know that feeling when you put on a brave face for the world, but inside, you're dying to be understood, to be seen as more than just strong and capable? We've all been there at some point in our lives. But what if I told you that this constant need to appear resilient has its roots in something much deeper? Perhaps it started when we were kids, and our parents or caregivers didn't have the emotional bandwidth to handle our own emotions. So we learned to suppress them, to be strong like a rock. But what's the cost of being that rock? We start to believe that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness, that if we're not constantly pushing forward, we're somehow failing. But what about the emotional labor of pretending to be okay all the time? It's exhausting. And when we finally do crack under the pressure, it's like a dam breaking. The emotions we've been holding back come flooding out, and suddenly, we feel like we're drowning. You may have grown up with a label, tough, resilient, or even strong-willed. But what if I told you that these labels are actually symptoms of something more complex? Emotional neglect. Childhood trauma. And it's time to start questioning the stories we tell ourselves about why we can't show vulnerability. As we've been exploring, resilience can sometimes masquerade as a strength, but it can also be a coping mechanism that's holding you back from truly experiencing life. Think about it like wearing a suit of armor. On the outside, you appear put together and capable, but inside, you're still raw and vulnerable. Let's look at some signs that resilience might be a coping mechanism rather than a genuine strength. Do you find yourself overthinking every little thing? Constantly analyzing what others say or do, trying to read between the lines? Or maybe you people please just to avoid conflict or rejection. For example, Sarah would always go out of her way to make sure everyone at work was happy, even if it meant sacrificing her own needs and desires. At first, it seemed like a noble act, but deep down, she felt suffocated by the constant need to please others. Or consider Alex, who would sabotage his own projects just as they were taking off. On the surface, it looked like he was being responsible by acknowledging potential pitfalls, but in reality, he was avoiding the fear of failure and rejection that had been ingrained in him since childhood. You see, resilience can often be a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's what helps us bounce back from setbacks and keep going, despite adversity. But on the other hand, it can also be a coping mechanism that masks underlying issues. Think of it like wearing a mask to hide your scars. It might make you look fine on the outside, but inside, the wounds are still there. We often think of resilience as a badge of honor, the ability to bounce back from adversity, no matter what life throws at us. But what happens when that bounce back becomes a facade? When we're so good at hiding our scars that even we start to believe they don't exist? This is where high-functioning depression comes in, a sneaky enemy that can masquerade as perfection. Imagine being like a ship sailing through calm waters, but beneath the surface, you're quietly taking on water. You might look fine from the outside, but inside, the pressure is building up. For some people, this manifests as emotional numbing. They feel nothing at all. Others may become perfectionists, pushing themselves to be better and better, even when it's no longer sustainable. I've seen friends who are high-functioning depressed put on a brave face in public, but behind closed doors they're struggling to get out of bed or find meaning in their lives. They might feel like they're constantly pretending to be someone they're not, the strong one, the capable one. But what happens when we keep up this act for too long? The weight becomes unbearable. You see, when we prioritize being tough, we often sacrifice our emotional expression in the process. We put on a mask to show the world that everything is fine, but beneath that facade, emotions are simmering, waiting to boil over. Think of it like holding your breath underwater. At first, you can do it for a while, but eventually, you need air. Our bodies and minds have limits, and suppressing our emotions is no different. We've been told that being resilient means putting on a brave face no matter what life throws our way. But think about it. When we suppress our emotions, are we really strong? Or are we just hiding behind a mask of resilience? Imagine you're a pressure cooker. The more you try to hold everything in, the more likely it is to explode. We've all been there, haven't we? Trying to keep up appearances while secretly feeling like we're drowning. You know, we've been conditioned to believe that strength is about putting on a brave face no matter what. That being resilient means soldiering on through the tough times without ever showing weakness. But I want you to think for a moment. Has this definition of strength actually served us? Or has it just led to more suffering in silence? Think back to a time when you tried to push through pain or discomfort, only to burn out later. It's like trying to hold water in your hand. At some point, the pressure becomes too great and everything spills over. As we reflect on what it means to be strong, I want you to remember that resilience is not just about holding it together. It's about acknowledging the weight of your emotions and finding a way to live with them. By letting go of the mask of resilience, you can start to live more authentically, to feel the beauty and the pain without apology. You are not alone in this journey. There are so many people who have walked before you, who have struggled and emerged stronger on the other side. And there are people right now, watching this video, feeling seen and heard for the first time in a long time.